everybody. Welcome to another exciting live stream. We have some great stories to discuss. They have changed the streaming software on YouTube, well, the streaming format. Hey, Danny. So I hope it goes well. Fingers crossed. I think everything on my end stays the same. But I'm a little nervous. So let's see how it goes. Thank you for joining me. I think we're going to have a really fun discussion. We have 3 fantastic stories. Please try to keep your comments to the topic at hand. However, at the end of the stream, as always, the last 10 minutes will be Ask Me Anything. All right, so let's get started. All righty. Thank you all for the nice comments on my shirt. I love this shirt. Earlier today, I was filming my Avatar review and my Welcome to Derry season finale review. So a lot of good stuff coming up. But tomorrow is a special day because tomorrow we're getting the Supergirl trailer. Oh yeah, and there's the poster to get us all excited for it. The Supergirl trailer will drop tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be doing a reaction and I'll also be doing a breakdown. I don't think it'll be a live breakdown. Oh yeah, boopity boop boop. But I'll be doing a regular breakdown and then I'll be going live again on Friday, I'm planning to. So that'll still be 3 live streams for the week. So very exciting. So let's go through this. I have mixed thoughts on it. I will say off the top that we were just talking about the importance of male audiences being excited about female-led content, because at the end of the day, that's who is the most interested in this content. This is very female-coded to me, and yet even in that regard, I'm not sure if it's big box office female-coded, and we're going to go through it, okay? So as I said, the trailer is tomorrow. Get ready. Big deal trailer. Very exciting. They had the score. If you go on to social media, you'll notice that it's not just a picture of the poster, but a little short video with a score playing over it, which is very Tron-y. And I must say, I thought the score was excellent. It made me very excited. A little 80s, a little synth. I thought that was pretty good. It's apparently the, yes, it's Ramin Djawadi, who has done House of the Dragon. But I think that I hope that Lobo is in the trailer. I think it would help the trailer substantially if Lobo was in it. But yeah, so they had that. And then also James Gunn dropped a little bit of a sneak peek with a couple of shots from the trailer, which I didn't appreciate because it looked so Guardians of the Galaxy. I was like, stop showing it to me. I want to see it, and it's the way I'm supposed to see it, because it made me a little nervous with the little bit that they dropped. Now I saw a lot of so what do I think of it? I do think it's pretty cool. It's not my favorite. I mean, you can see I've dedicated a large portion of our discussion to the hair. I really dislike the hair. I mean, it's the first thing I would have immediately been like, I like that she's floating. I like that she's cool. But I immediately would have been like, get out of my way. I gotta fix it. You know, like no friend would let their friend walk out like that. She looks very Meryl Streep, very Carrie Fisher. You know, it's a certain type of kind of female look. So we're gonna go through it. It could still work out. It could work out. Let's see how the performance looks. All right, so I saw a lot of comparisons to DC Star-Lord. And when you think about how Star-Lord looked in the opening sequence, Laura Dern is a great comparison, Nacho. When you look at Star-Lord at the beginning of the Guardians of the Galaxy, where we meet him for the very first time, he was wearing a long trench coat and listening to a Walkman with that exact same set of headphones. Like those could be Star-Lord's headphones, and it would be believable. She should at least have AirPods, maybe, right? I mean, I guess they want the telltale cord, you know, I don't know why she would have such an antiquated style of listening to music. If this is supposed to be somewhat modern, but you can't deny that that is exactly how Star-Lord was dressed, even if you like it. I mean, even if you think it looks great, And I'm not saying this is necessarily a negative, but I do think we have to acknowledge that it's the exact same outfit. So let's talk about the hair. Oh my gosh, it's really important, particularly for female characters. And I've uploaded a lot of visuals to discuss this. Okay, so in the comics, here's the history that Supergirl has had. And she's had a couple of looks. She sometimes had curly hair. She usually has a blowout. She usually has an Avengers style blowout, but then that's this artist. This is the artist, Nicola Scott. And she did a number of these where she did different, versions of the characters through the years. It's a good comparison, Jico. Right now she has Sue Storm's hair from the Fantastic Four movie, and I think it would benefit her to have Sue Storm's hair from the sneak peek at Avengers Doomsday. I think she needs a Russo brothers blowout. Now, the next look is here. Okay, thanks, Bubbles. This is Michael Turner, who was very famous back in the day for drawing Supergirl. He really, this in the animated series prioritized the midriff costume. It's tough to pull off. I was a little nervous they were going to do it here, but I think the larger belt still kind of makes it seem like she has a midriff costume on. I think they handled it very well. I'm so happy they didn't do the midriff, that the skirt's fine. You're like, do the skirt. As long as she doesn't have the midriff, I think it's a reason to celebrate. Also, you want the skirt so she can do the knee-high boots. I think the knee-high boots look really great. But her hair looks a little Michael Turner-y. If they told me that Michael Turner was the inspiration for this hair, I would believe it. Then here's another look. Adam Hughes, full blowout. Very soft, very sexy, but obviously a very different look than what they're going for here. Look at her tagline, truth, justice, whatever. I think she'll feel differently by the end of the movie, but still, very interesting. All right, so then let's go to, I forgot to move the arrow. So my concern is, are they going to be able to get women to go and see this? So let's talk about female characters in movies. So Wonder Woman, of course, is famous, especially in the first film, for having amazing hair. I think it made a really big difference in Batman v Superman, where she was first introduced. And then also, of course, in her movie, that she looked like Wonder Woman Barbie. I think it made a really big difference, and she had incredible hair. Incredible. It helped in the slow motion shots. It was really great. Then, I think her acting was great in the first movie. Yeah, if Lobo has better hair than Supergirl, maybe they'll make a joke about it. And all shall be forgiven. So yes, Barbie. Margot Robbie could not have had better hair. Oh my gosh, stunning. And she had multiple looks with every different outfit. The hair made a really big difference. Everyone loved the hair. Then I even wanted to point out Wicked. Both ladies, particularly in the first more successful movie, had great looks. Their fit was amazing. Of course, Glinda is famous for her hair, and I even think everybody loved the hair on Elphaba. Really fabulous job with that, with the micro braids. And then, of course, the hat. Although maybe the sunglasses and the trench coat are similar to the coolness of the hat. So very, very similar in terms of this appeal. Then I wanted to point out Cruella, because it's the same director, Craig Gillespie. Cruella, of course, had a fabulous final look. This was actually the first look at the character, with amazing makeup, amazing hair. We all fell in love instantly. I would hope that, she had a softer kind of look in the first look in her cameo in Superman. And I think that what made a difference there was the force of personality and the humor of the cameo. I thought that was a great cameo. Even though she showed up drunk, it still worked out. But this was a great look. This was really good. I had thought that maybe her hair was going to be short. I thought maybe she was going to have a short bob from some of the earlier looks that we'd seen, like the on-set photos. And I thought maybe she was going to have a little something like this, which I think would have been nice. Now, I also want to point out that that was not Cruella's initial look. Here is her initial look, which is a little closer to this one. So maybe we should let Craig Gillespie cook. This is a little bit beachy waves. This is a little bit scattered. But I think the styling is stronger. I mean, the styling here is with the bang. Who just said that, Kareem? The bang is very strong. I think the bang, the glasses, and then also she was styled. As the character went along, thank you, Echelon, the style got stronger. And maybe that'll happen for Supergirl. Maybe as this movie progresses, the styling will get stronger. But this is very important. This is a movie that needs to do well with women. And so the styling is really, really important. So that was fantastic. Now let's look at a couple of comic book characters. Now, Carol Danvers went for a similar look in the Marvels, did not go over well. So that is an important thing to remember. However, look how she looked when she went to the Russos. Blowout, baby. And I think that in this movie, this was the kindest I've ever seen anybody be to Carol Danvers. Because I'm telling you, as somebody who is a woman in the space, as much as you would hope that it wouldn't make a difference, it does. Hair is extremely important. Then let's look at Wanda. I think Wanda has a little bit of a beachy wave. So her hair is a little Wanda-y, which makes me feel maybe it could work. Little Wanda. I think we're feeling a little bit of the Wanda vibe. But then, the first female comic book star whose hair went through the most changes, of course, is Black Widow. Now, the Russos always gave her amazing blowouts. I think the character, also Jon Favreau gave her a very strong hairstyle when she was introduced in Iron Man 2 with the ringlets. Guys loved it. Guys went crazy for that hairstyle. I think women felt it was a bit much. They're like, who has time to maintain that hairstyle? But it was extremely popular. Then, the unfortunateness of some of the Whedon movies. But when she was finally in Civil War, everybody went nuts over that hairstyle. Nuts. Nuts, nuts, nuts. And then also, of course, later on in Civil War, she had this incredible blowout, which everybody was loving, until Scarlett Johansson kind of took over her own hair. Not everybody loved it as much, I think that I should have put in Yelena. Yelena has great hair. Although I have to say Yelena's hair is very female friendly. I don't know how male friendly Yelena's hair is, and you might have seen that reflected in the box office. Although everybody's getting a blowout at Avengers Tower for the new movie, even Bucky, as we recently discussed. So I'm a little nervous about that. I'm a little nervous about the hair. The hair, I got to see it in the trailer. I'm nervous about it. I think everybody can agree that Yelena's hair looked the best when she was in Hawkeye and she was doing amazing braids on braids. We were like, what the heck is that? That's incredible. Now, what to me is very interesting is that, yes, she does look a lot like Star-Lord, particularly in the last Guardians of the Galaxy poster. There he is, listening to his Walkman right there in the middle. Elliot says guys don't care about female characters' hair. I think you couldn't be more wrong, Elliot. I think they might not realize it, but they care if she looks hot. I think that makes a really big difference. I really do. I think everyone, whether they realize it or not, cares about a female character's hair. We'll see. Maybe this will end up looking great. But I'm telling you, it makes a really big difference. I think that people need to look at the character and be like, I want to be that character. And so let's see. I think that anyone who's saying it's not true is a hardcore DC fan and is like going to defend this movie no matter what. And maybe the movie will still do really well. I'm just telling you, you want to know my reaction? That's my reaction. Okay? Now, Craig Gillespie versus James Gunn. So as I said, very similar to this. But what's even more interesting to me is that this is an exact replica of all the Craig Gillespie posters. I, Tonya, Cruella. It's the exact same poster, which is very interesting to me. I hope that this movie feels like a Craig Gillespie movie and not a James Gunn movie. That to me is the most important thing. And I even liked Superman. I thought Superman was a great movie. I thought it was the best Superman movie ever made. But I think we're all desperate for a different flavor in the DC space. That's all we want, just a different flavor. And so that's what I'm hoping for. I think it's rough to go from Superman to Supergirl because they have to kind of fit together a little bit. But yeah, and I have to tell you that Cruella, I don't know what happened to the sequel. The writer is that new female writer that James Gunn found, who he's just crazy about. So let's see how good she is. And Tom King is involved as well because it's based off of his comic. So let's see. I also would like to point out that Lois's hair looked nice. And I thought Lois's hair looked nice. And by the way, Miss Tessmacher's hair looked amazing. It really, I'm telling you, it makes a really big difference. But that's what I'm hoping for tomorrow. I want it to feel not so much like a James Gunn project. I'm really scared it's going to feel like Guardians of the Galaxy because it takes place in space. I want it to feel not like Guardians of the Galaxy. That's I will react to the trailer. That's my number one thing. I'm not doing a poll on the hair because all the James Gunn DC fans are just going to vote no just to be annoying. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about the poster? Reese, you think I, Tonya is her? I think she was so miscast in I, Tonya. When the ice skating officials were like, "You're the last person we want representing ice skating," I was like, "What?" They would kill to have Margot Robbie represent ice skating. Scorus says the similarities to Star-Lord is more interesting than the hair. Potentially, and they're also both blonde, and they're also both going to be comedic. Let's see. I hope she's not listening. Is she going to be listening to that Walkman? I mean, I hope they don't repeat the actual scene. It's hard to comment on her costume because we can't really see it. It's a very 80s look. It seems like she almost has shoulder pads. The sunglasses are not current. Those aren't current sunglasses. Those sunglasses skew older than the character looks. So, it's a dated look. It's like Daryl Hannah. Daryl Hannah in Splash is a really fabulous comparison. But that's an old movie. But that's very much, maybe that's where the timing I don't know what the timing is. Maybe that's why she has a Walkman. But if you told me that they were doing Daryl Hannah in Splash with this, wet look for her hair, I would believe it. And Sahil makes a good point that, of course, the Supergirl CW show was a really big deal. And it has to seem different than that. And that's hard to do because that was very comics accurate. Doc says, I love the conversations we're having. Oversized shades are in style, thank you very much. Not that look like that, though. She has like these Anna Wintour, like old lady sunglasses on. I mean, that's what I would say to her if she was my friend. If we were at the store and she tried those on, I'd be like, this looks like you borrowed your grandma's glasses. And she'd be like, all right, let's keep looking. Or she'd be like, that's the look right now, Grace. And I'd be like, all right, go get them. Charlie XCX is an interesting comparison. I like Charlie XCX. What do I think about her boots? I love her boots. Love them. I love a great boot. I'm a big fan of boots. I love that the way that she's floating accentuates. I mean, again, from a female perspective, you're like, oh, I love the way you're floating, girl. It elongates your legs. Fantastic. You should float everywhere. It's the high heel effect, And I hope that she has the wedge heels on the boots. But, a high heel is so popular because it extends the legs and it makes legs look slimmer and it looks good. But so if she floated everywhere, it would make her legs look nicer. And so that's really funny. I mean, these are things that, guys wouldn't necessarily think about, but would pick up on, subconsciously. So it's funny. Renee Rapp is true. She does look a lot like Renee Rapp, who has Renee Rapp is a great comparison. So that's awesome. I wonder how long she's going to wear the trench coat for. I mean, trench coats can be cool. I mean, I think that it could be cool, a good duster can really move. I think the point of the trench coat is that she hasn't really embraced her look, and maybe she thinks being a superhero is corny. So I think she's not willing to own it. It's like, she's like that goth kid at school, she's like, don't talk to me. Like, that's the vibe she's putting on. And I think I can understand it. I think everybody's been there. That's right. Very Billy Butcher. He also doesn't want you to talk to him. Go stand over there. Leave me alone until I talk to you. I mean, She's the girl at school out back smoking under the bleachers. That's 100% the look they're going for. I mean, it's working. I picked up on it. I know who that is. So let's see. Let's see. I'm curious to see how it works. So Charlie says she might also be very sad. Well, goths often are sad. Why do you think they're goths, man? You know, being a goth is a cry for help. Everybody knows that. You guys are so funny. Game Boys says, that's a great name, says, to me it seems that they are giving her the X-23 and Logan treatment. Oh, that's true. That's true a little bit. X-Men Superfan says, don't you dare say that about goths. Okay, some goths are happy. I was goth. But I was, you know, I felt a little isolated in school. Also, I thought it was cool, to be honest with you. I was like, yeah, cool. You know? Like, you know, I had a big coat. I like to stomp around in my boots. I got in trouble for stomping down the hallway. I was making a lot of noise, but it was cool, thank you. But I got in trouble for that. They were like, we're in the middle of class. Brat Summer Blockbuster. I mean, I don't know which way to go with this. I mean, I'm going to be curious to how they tie it all together. You know, like, how do you make sure that this works for everybody? It's really hard. Let's see here. Was I a rebel at school? You couldn't be a rebel at my school, really. My school was not a place where you could rebel. But I always was, you know, I've been, the way I am now has been the way I've always been. Very sarcastic. I do a lot of, you know, I say what I think. VTV Psycho, let me see what your super chat was. I'm not worried about her hair. DC fans tend to be a lot more respectful towards their female characters. No, they don't. What are you talking about? That's ridiculous. I don't agree with that at all. I give that a 0 in terms of the truth. Okay. All right, we're just fighting over this. We're just getting real bitchy over it. See, this is what it's like. Oh my God. That is not what it's like. Thank you. All right. Let's go. Yeah, polite boop. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's go talk about another woman in Batman who, by the way, her hair looks fabulous. Oh my God, Scarlett Johansson, ScarJo, girl, you look amazing. Her hair is fabulous. Oh my God. I would go to Supergirl and I'd be like, you should find out who does her hair because she looks amazing. Okay. Story number 2. Stylish boop. Oh no, we covered up Batman's face. Okay, there we go. She looks so good. Her hair looks so freaking good. Okay. What's happening here? So, that's a lot of franchises, ScarJo. She's like, as I said the other day, she's collecting them like infinity rings. And then she got DC later that very same day. So, of course, back in the day, she was the very first female Avenger. And for a long time, she was the only female Avenger. And she got made fun of a lot. But she did a lot of heavy lifting and brought female audiences in, along with a shirtless Chris Evans. It was a joint effort. Thank you very much. But yes, she's very, very popular. Even though some people made fun of her, very popular. That's right. Then Wanda eventually came along. But, you know, ScarJo walked so that Elizabeth Olsen could run and then get her legs cut out from under her by Kevin Feige and get benched for some strange reason. So yes, but you know, she never really got her trilogy. She finally got a single movie, but then she was passing the baton at that point. It was hard. It was rough. We all felt really bad that all these other Avengers got their trilogies and she never did. It sucked. I think a lot of us will never forget that. Yes, she did some stupid stuff like Ghost in the Shell. I'm not saying ScarJo's perfect. You know, she went through a phase. She went through a phase of ridiculousness, but she's doing really well. And that's right, Lucy proved that she could do pretty well outside of Marvel, unlike some of her male counterparts. So yes, she got Jurassic World. And it turns out that ScarJo is a major cinephile, right? She loves franchises. She's wanted to be in a dinosaur movie since they've been making them. So she finally got into Jurassic World, and she also recently signed on for The Exorcist, also for Universal, by the way. So she is all in over at Universal. When's she going to make her Disney Tower of Terror movie? Maybe never now. That, like Christopher Nolan, she's gone to Universal. Then she signed on for the Batman. We were all like, what? That's incredible. And I heard that she dropped out of Tangled. I heard that she's like, I can't do another one. So, I mean, I did think it was pretty silly that she was going to film The Exorcist and then go right into Batman, because that means she's going to be in these things all at the same time. She's probably going to film The Exorcist and then Batman and then Jurassic World 2 or whatever they're calling it, the next one. And I just feel like that's a lot. And she might be amazing in all of them. And that's right. Good for her, Isaac, for getting paid. But I do worry about the franchises themselves, where people will be like, I just saw her. That's right. You never want to be overexposed, Sophia. Just ask Leonardo DiCaprio. I've been telling you that for years, but now Leo agrees with me. You got to always be careful about being overexposed, especially when you're at the point of your career where you're going to work forever. When you're just starting out, maybe you want to get paid a whole bunch because you don't know how long the opportunities are going to come. But you got to be really, really careful. One of the most brilliant things Margot Robbie ever did was take a break after Barbie. I mean, I have so much respect for that she realized that. She was like, I just got $50 million. And that's right. Pedro Pascal, very overexposed. Very overexposed. Dwayne Johnson, big overexposure. And I think Timmy C is having a problem with that as well. As you guys are saying. How nice is it for a woman to finally have the problem, right? Women get so few roles that it's tough for them. You know, Sydney Sweeney, I don't know about that. But yeah. That's a different kind of situation. Blake Lively and Sydney Sweeney are overexposed. They're dealing with scandals. That's a different kind of situation. I heard she said, no, she's not going to do Tangled. So, which is good because nobody wanted her to do Tangled. I think everybody would rather her be in all these movies than be in Tangled. Okay. Now, what's interesting is that Emma Stone apparently was in talks for this role. Emma Stone was, in fact, Matt Reeves' first choice. I didn't necessarily hear that, but that's a rumor going around from a pretty reputable scooper. And I think that's interesting, you know, and I think it kind of informs maybe what the role is. Because Emma Stone, she's gotten a little bit of a glow up. Emma Stone has such a different image than Scarlett Johansson does. So any role that Emma Stone would play kind of feels a little different, right? I think it's interesting that Emma Stone turned it down. I think I'm very curious about that. Okay, so star power. Both of these ladies are major stars. And I think that, you know, it's been a minute since we've had a big star in a comic book movie because for the most part, they can't afford them these days. Back in the day, they were starring up these things like you wouldn't believe it. So interesting. Interesting that they've decided to go with such a big name. You know, I would argue a bigger name than Robert Pattinson. So this is a big deal. You know, I'll be curious. I heard they made a big offer to a male actor. I don't know who it is, but I'm curious to see how this cast starts to round out. They're going to have to balance out Scarlett Johansson, or it's just going to become the Scarlett Johansson movie. Now, I also heard a rumor that Arkham Asylum is going to factor in very big into the movie, and particularly maybe Dr. Arkham, Dr. Jeremiah Arkham. I love a good insane asylum story, as you all know. I don't think they're doing Mr. Freeze anymore, Kareem, and who wants them to? Because Jeremy Strong is no longer available. But yeah, so I heard that this is going to be a big part of the movie. And that would be, again, absolutely delightful because I love Arkham Asylum. Although I don't know how much I love the design. Although let Matt Reeves cook. Let Matt Reeves cook. I really liked the Batman. I thought it was a phenomenal film. So good. Okay, so, all right. So who could she potentially be playing? Now, don't forget that Matt Reeves said that it's a character. Well, he said the villain. Yeah, they might do Court of Owls. That would be so boring. I really don't want them to do Court of Owls. Ugh, so boring. Rich people. Ooh, scary. I mean, it is scary, but I don't need that in my comic book stuff. So yeah, maybe it's Dr. Arkham. He's never been done in live action, right? So it could still be Poison Ivy potentially. Maybe Matt Reeves was referring to someone else. Now, a lot of people are like, Poison Ivy? And I have to say, I think she'd be a great Poison Ivy, particularly if you're a fan of the animated series. And some of you pointed out, I think it might have been Wanda's attorney, that Lake Bell has voiced Black Widow in some animation for Marvel. So since Lake Bell voices Poison Ivy in the animated Harley Quinn series, maybe they could switch it around. I think she'd be a wonderful Poison Ivy, in fact. I think it was you, right? It was. That's great. She looks very much like the animated series version, who I just absolutely adore. And she has, like, I think she'd be great. I think she's very believable as a scientist. And, you know, Matt Reeves, of course, would want to downplay the supernatural elements of it, the fantasy elements. And I think, you know, I think Scarlett Johansson would make a sexy scientist or environmental activist really engaging. So I think that could be great. I think I would be very happy if she was Poison Ivy. I don't think she is Poison Ivy, but I think she'd be a great Poison Ivy. She'd make me very happy. I would be like, and then make Emma Stone Harley, right? I mean, that would be really great. That's right. There will be no Catwoman apparently in this movie, but that's tough. I mean, that's too bad. I liked the character. I liked where they were going with it, but you know, they very often change out the female leads in these types of movies. And it's just nothing. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. Now, a lot of people feel, Marco says she's Beaumont. So who is Andrea Beaumont? Well, back in the day, Batman the Animated Series, which is very influential because it made all the Batman fans there are today. And in fact, Matt Reeves is a big fan of it because the new Batman Animated Series that he does with J.J. Abrams, which I actually think is pretty good, is a kind of an extension of Batman the Animated Series. And, you know, most people who are Batman fans today are because of that series. Now, there was a movie that went right to theaters, actually, back in the day. That's how popular this animated show was. They did a theatrical release called Mask of the Phantasm. And here was the Phantasm. And you were like, who's this, man? Yeah, it does look like Taskmaster. And you were like, who's this? It was another vigilante who was actually competing with Batman, although his methods were more extreme. Only what do you know? It was a lady. It was Bruce's old love interest who wanted vengeance. And they just couldn't see eye to eye on whether or not they should kill people. Couple problems. Hashtag couple problems. But yeah, it was a big deal. It was a very big deal. You know, they draw a lot of these characters looking the same back in the day. And I think, yeah, that's right. Tom King brought this character back recently in the comics. I think Scarlett Johansson would be very good at this as well, obviously. So there's potential to play this as well. There is a rumor going around that he could maybe be, this character Scarlett Johansson is playing as a love interest for Robert Pattinson. She seems a little older than Robert Pattinson to me, but they're actually just a couple of years apart. I think he's 37 and she's 41. So maybe it would work. All right, then there's another very exciting option that probably is not it. But I mean, if Emma Stone was going to play the role, and apparently Scarlett Johansson really wanted this role. So the rumor goes that, I love this, it's so much tea. She instructed her agents that if Emma Stone turned it down, to go for it. She was like, oh my God, that role is available. You get it from me. I love this. I love that she's not afraid to go for things, you know, to not be apologetic and get what she wants. I love it. I love it. You go, ScarJo. All right. So Gilda Dent. Now, Matt Reeves is a great Batman fan. He likes all the things that I like. He likes Batman the Animated Series, and he likes Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale's The Long Halloween and Dark Victory. Now, Long Halloween was about a killer called the Holiday, and he killed every holiday. And Gilda Dent was Harvey Dent's wife. And Harvey Dent, that's really the origin story of Harvey Dent, that story. It was recently done as an animated movie, so more of you might have been exposed to it, although the animated movie is nowhere near as good as the comic. I would really implore you to go look at the comic. But Gilda Dent is this really mousy, very, loving her husband character who actually ends up, being the murderer. It's one of the greatest stories. Gilda Dent is an incredible character. Yes, it does sound like a toothpaste brand, Marco. And I think that it would be a really intriguing female role. So they could always do Gilda Dent. I mean, they already did Sophia Falcone in the Penguin series. But, I think that Emma Stone would be a much better Gilda Dent than Scarlett Johansson, but maybe she wants the challenge. Like, Emma Stone would be an amazing Gilda Dent. Like, that would be peak casting. I don't think it's Barbara Gordon, Tim, because I heard it was a villain. And also they said they've never done this. I mean, but again, maybe he was talking about someone else. I don't think it's going to be Barbara. Barbara's supposed to be a little younger than Bruce, not a little older than Bruce. Then there's one other character that it could potentially be, also related to Dent, and that's Jessica Dent. Now, if you read Batman Earth 1, which is written by actually Jeff Johns, and that's like an alternate universe before they did the current alternate universe, Absolute. This was back in a couple of years ago, and it was actually an amazing comic. And this was the place where they really focused on the fact that maybe Bruce was a little nuts. And they made Martha Wayne, an Arkham. And they had a history of mental illness, which is something they did in the Matt Reeves Batman. That came from Batman Earth 1. So Matt Reeves has read it, and he has already taken from it. Now, what they did here was that Jessica Dent was Harvey's sister, and she ends up taking on his split persona. I mean, God bless him. If Matt Reeves wants to gender bend Two-Face, I wouldn't advise it in today's climate, but this would be another potential way to go, particularly if they're going to explore Arkham. And that's a good point. If they're going to explore the Arkham angle, don't forget Bruce Wayne's mother is an Arkham. She's Martha Arkham, married into the Wayne family. She also has a history of mental illness. And that explains perhaps why Bruce decided to fight crime dressed as a bat rather than, I don't know, do something regular. I think it makes sense. I really liked this idea when it was introduced, and I liked them utilizing it in the Batman movie. It's not a normal reaction to do this. And the fact that Batman would be a little bit like the Rogues Gallery, they're all a little nuts, I think works really well. I love Martha being an Arkham. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. Maybe that means he's related to Dr. Jeremiah Arkham. Oh, yeah. That's really interesting. She better not be Batgirl. I don't need another Alicia Silverstone situation. So if you want to read this comic, it's a great comic. It's called, Kate Kane, Batwoman? I don't think so. I heard it was a villain. I mean, maybe my source on this was incorrect, but the source on this is pretty consistent. So I heard it was a villain. So let's see what they decide to do. But I would recommend, if you haven't, you read Batman Earth 1, just because they're definitely going to be doing something from there. So let's see. Let's see what they decide to do. Does anybody have any questions? But I am excited. I love Scarlett Johansson. I love this new era for Scarlett Johansson. I think she's an actress, a rare actress who doesn't vogue, but is still beautiful. I think she's loved by men and women. I think she would help this movie substantially. So what does everybody want to say about this before we talk about poor Timothee? That's right, she is a movie star, gosh darn it, Charlie. Ben, I don't think they're going to stick Scarlett Johansson in a frozen tube. I don't think she's going to be Nora Freeze. I don't think why would she fight for that role? Oliver says, I think Scarlett's above a role like Poison Ivy at this point in her career. I think she's above anything so blatantly cheesecake. Well, unless they change it to be more environmental activist or Poison, right? But yeah, I think she would like the challenge of Andrea Beaumont or Gilda Dent. I think that would appeal to her. I don't know about Robin, Kyle. I would love to finally get Robin. Although these kids grow up awfully fast. It's been a real problem for a number of projects. CJ says, if she's Andrea, do you think people will hate to see it coming? Well, no, then the magic would be in the telling of the story. I mean, we all know who the Joker is. We all know, they'd have to probably make some changes, right? But we know all these stories, we know where they're going. The beauty is changing it a little bit. Like, the surprise of Martha being an Arkham. Sahib says it will most likely be the Phantasm because it's the most Scarlett Jo character. Maybe. Well, let's see. Do you think it'll be Harley? It could be. It could be. I think she's a little bit older for Harley, to be honest with you, and I think she's not the best choice. I think, Anya Taylor-Joy is right there. She's right there. Paul, they'll definitely reveal in the marketing. They have to. They have to say who she's playing, and then we'll be able to figure it out because we'll know the history. Raphael says, does Barry Keoghan have a contract for his Joker? I would love it if they changed Jokers, to be honest with you. Not only did I think none of us really, at the end of the day, got excited about that take on the character, but Barry Keoghan or Kogan or whatever is not really popular right now. Well, Lady Gaga, remember, was Harley Quinn for Joaquin Phoenix's older Joker. So that was effective. That worked. Look at you guys with Red Claw. Some people are Batman the Animated Series fans. I love to see it. I don't care. Barry says, I want a poll on who she might be. All right, let's do it. I know you guys like a poll. Who do you think, ScarJo? Let's do who do you want ScarJo to play? Poison Ivy. I'll do it in the order I listed it. Andrea Beaumont. Phantasm. Gilda Dent. And I think Jessica Dent is like really far, so let's do someone else. By the way, I see so many people tuned in for the live today. Welcome. I love to see you here, even if you're not a member. I'm so happy you're here. You can vote in the poll. Anyone who's watching can vote in the poll. You just have to click on it and you can vote. Calendar Girl. Oh yeah, Batman the Animated Series was pretty special. I would be very upset if the Al Ghuls going forward were not Middle Eastern. It would bother me to no end. I already thought it was offensive that Marion Cotillard was Talia Al Ghul beforehand, but I guess that's because Liam Neeson was Ra's al Ghul. They are Middle Eastern, and they better frickin' be Middle Eastern, and Damian Wayne better be half or part Middle Eastern. It's important to me. Let's see here. Oh, hey, Mexican Nacho. Better late than missing it. Totally, right? Wanda's attorney. I'm glad you agree with me on Gilda Dent. I think that would be wonderful. There's no going to be now. Roxy Rocket's a Superman character, but I do appreciate the deep cut. Hey, Oasis, you have arrived. I think it's funny someone mentioned Roxy Rocket and then Dane brought up Kite Man. I think you're definitely going to see Kite Man in the future because, you know, James Gunn is a fan of that animated series and the comedian who voices him is extremely affordable. Let's see here. Luke says, if you did Phantasm, it would make sense because the Riddler in the first movie got the idea from seeing Batman fight crime. Although then wouldn't it be the same thing again? Like, how many people are going to do this, man? You want to misfreeze? I think people would just get so angry. It wouldn't be. I would be like, don't do it, ScarJo. Don't do it. You're going to pull all those other franchises down with you. The Guy Tie, I think they just don't want to continue the Catwoman storyline. I think they've come up with a different story they want to do. And I think that, you know, I think it's hard to top Michelle Pfeiffer. I think Catwoman has been done a lot already. And I think it would be better for her to do a Penguin season 2 with Sophia. You know, I would like to see her someday again. But I mean, it's hard to top all the times Catwoman has already been done. You know, Michelle Pfeiffer, Anne Hathaway. You know, I think like the really realistic version of the character was really interesting. But I just think that, you know, I don't think it's going to plus the movie the way they need it to. All right, I think we can go to the next. Oh, let me close the poll. All right, hold on. Zoe Kravitz was a great Catwoman. Okay, let's see here. Who do you want ScarJo to play? 38% want Andrea Beaumont. 38% though also want Poison Ivy. You don't care. You don't care what Matt Reeves said before. Give me we wants the redhead, as they say on Pirates of the Caribbean. 16% said, oh, how nice is it? You know, with all due respect to Margot Robbie, I'm glad it's not always Margot Robbie, right? I mean, there are other actresses out there, and for a while she was getting everything. And it's good for her, too, to have a little bit more variety. 16% would like her to be playing someone else, and then only 8% of you want Gilda Dent. That's funny, but I guess because that would mean having to do more Harvey, and they've done Harvey a lot. Oh, you already got White Rabbit. Remember, over on Peacemaker. And then JK says, I would love her to be Ivy in all her power. Well, that's not going to happen in a Matt Reeves movie because his characters are grounded. Okay. All right. So let's go to the third story of the day. Let's talk about poor Timmy C. I told you this was coming. You guys didn't agree, but I was like, man, that's not a good look. And sure enough, here we go. Boop. All right, here we go. Timmy C drama. So this all started, that's right, boom, baby. This all started with last year's SAG Awards, where he gave that speech where he said his goal was to be the greatest of all time, and he was just going to say it. And I said that really ignores the fact that luck is a huge component. It makes it seem like people who aren't successful as an actor didn't want it enough. Even though, you know, the truth of the matter is that there are a ton of really wonderful actors who will never be successful. And it's very sad, in fact. So that makes it seem that's why I thought his speech was particularly, you know, offensive. But I fell back in love with him when I watched the movie. I was like, he's so talented, though. He kind of lives up to it. So, but that's where this started. And most people defended him when he gave that speech, which is interesting to see them turn on him suddenly. So he's doing the Marty Supreme PR campaign right now, and he's going all in on the Riz. You know, now, if you've seen the actual movie itself, which most people have not, you would realize that this is very much what the character of Marty Supreme is like. And some of us are wondering if it's a bit. Like, is he doing this to promote the movie? I would say, it's not effective, Timmy, and you're hurting yourself. So you should just stop and let the movie speak for itself. You know, like he had a couple of really great moments there. Like, remember when he did the football guest spot and everybody was like, look at his football knowledge. That was amazing. Remember when he did that great record thing where he was at the record store making those funny faces? He was a meme and GIF machine. Everybody loved it. So he was doing really well. But like now he's gone a step too far, right? He drank his own Kool-Aid. You never drink your own Kool-Aid. That's great. He was great on Saturday Night Live. I mean, he was doing really well. He was walking the line. But I think he's kind of gone over it. But is it a bit? And I hope his management is aware that it's not working. And if it is a bit, to stop. And if it's not a bit, maybe they should say it's a bit. All right, so he gave a recent interview just the other day. And again, is it a bit? Like some people are saying like one of the things that he said was that he wore contact lenses that made his vision bad so that he had to actually wear prescription glasses as the character. And you're like, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. But then I was talking to somebody about it and they were like, I think he's joking. And I was like, yeah, now that you say that, I think he might be joking because that's so stupid. So that was like crazy, right? But then also he said that he was on like a generational run with his roles. He was like, dude, I don't understand how people aren't recognizing that I've done like a couple of roles in a row now where I'm at the top of my game. So I think everybody feels he's like, so time to give me that Oscar. And I will say, it's true. I mean, he's been on an amazing run. But as some people pointed out, other actors have been on an amazing run. And they still don't have Oscars. Like, you don't think Ralph Fiennes has been on an amazing run? Dude still doesn't have an Oscar, right? So it's a little bit not cool to say that when there are other people who are like, hey, buddy, get in line. There's still a bunch of us waiting for our Oscar, right? Tom Cruise has never gotten an Oscar. Tom Cruise just got like a consolation prize Oscar. You know who never got an Oscar? Peter O'Toole. Peter O'Toole had to also get an honorary Oscar and walk up there. I'll never forget his speech. I saw it when I was little, but it's made such an impression on me. And he held up the Oscar and he said, I wish I'd been able to win it outright, but this is very nice. And I felt very bad for that. I was like, aw, all right. That's right, Angela Bassett. She also had to get what about Angela Bassett? Glenn Close has never won? There's a lot of people who've never won. So I think it's kind of crazy that he's like, yo, let me cut the line. And everybody's like, whoa. So that's not working out so well for him. Now, some people are saying maybe it's the Kylie Jenner influence, right? This is very reality TV, very Kardashian, right? And he finally appeared with her on a red carpet where I don't know what's going on with him in this ping pong handbag or male handbag. I don't know who he's trying to be because it doesn't look like he's trying to be an award-winning actor, right? Like, you're like, what are you doing here, buddy? Like, it does seem like a bit, like he's not at the Met Gala. Like, I don't know what's going on here. And I think that Kylie Jenner on his arm, posing like that, let's just say, again, if you saw Marty Supreme, you would be like, oh, I get it. It's very Marty Supreme. Or maybe Timmy C's just living his best life. David just said he's young. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe he's just like, king of the world, baby. Maybe, like he was, I don't know. Oh yeah. He was at CCXP being absolutely nuts. He was dancing all over the place. He was rapping, and people pointed out that that's what he was like when he was in acting school. It's just like, this is Timmy C, which is why I said white boy Riz. He's a Beastie Boy, back in the 90s and stuff. Eminem, who's still around to a degree. But there was a time when this was like very popular, right? There's other terms for it, but as a white person, I cannot say that. I've seen Black Twitter commenting on this, and I think it's very funny. But I would say what I can say is white boy Riz, which I think is hilarious. But I think it's a little. I don't know. Here's the thing. Before I saw Marty Supreme, I would be like, this is nuts. But now that I've seen Marty Supreme, I'm like, I'm sorry to say he's a genius actor. I don't know what to tell you, man. That's right. Mark Wahlberg, Shia LaBeouf. Oh yeah, there was a really funny tweet that I saw where someone said, we bullied Bradley Cooper for less than this. We did. Like Bradley Cooper was so aggressive about getting an Oscar that we were all like, ew. And he hasn't recovered. So, but I don't know. I think Bradley Cooper is, again, older. We were all like, you should know better, Bradley, right? And I don't think he's as endearing as Timmy C. And that's right. Maestro wasn't even a good movie. We were all like, oh, this is horrible. Why on earth would you think you would win for this? But I'm telling you, let's see if people like Marty Supreme. I loved it. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. I think Timothee Chalamet is incredible in it. He's not only an amazing actor in it, but he's also a producer, and it's just a work of art. And so, and as Marco said, this is a bit. I think that's smart. That's Timmy's problem. He's too good an actor. Oh, he's too talented. I told this to a friend of mine, and I said, I hope Timothee Chalamet's publicist and agent are as good as you. So I told this to an industry friend, and I said, I don't know if this is going to work for him. And my friend said, if the meal is delicious, how do you care how it was prepared by the chef? And I was like, well, that's true. And I got to tell you, I think Marty Supreme is delicious. But I think he might be doing this a little too early. I'm not sure. Let's just see. I just think it's hilarious. It's hilarious. Now, I also saw a tweet where someone said, it's crazy to see someone talk themselves out of an Oscar in real time. I don't know if he is or not. I don't know. I would advise him to drop the bit, and then maybe there's still time to turn it around. For him to just go, yeah, it's a bit, and everyone would go, oh, hilarious, Timmy. I would say he might still be a little too young to win. They do this all the time with actresses, with ingenues. But I feel like there are other actors who, but I don't know. Ray Fiennes, it was still not his time. But I feel like Timmy C is so busy that people feel like he's going to keep getting work. Timmy C is going to be working a lot for a long time. There will be other opportunities. And Alberto agrees. I think he's going to get the nomination 100%. 100% he's going to get nominated. I don't think he's going to win for Dune 3, to be honest with you. I think he's going to win maybe at about when Leo did, at around 40. So he's got 10 years of this. Slow your roll, Timmy. Pace yourself. You probably got 10 years, my friend. But I think that Wagner Moura and Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, I think these are very, but Mickey Madison is a woman. I'm telling you that they do this for the female role Sometimes women have few advantages, and although it's a disadvantage for the older actresses. But I'm telling you, I think that he's going to get nominated, but I think that Wagner Moura and Ethan Hawke are stronger choices to win this. I think people feel that neither of them is ever going to get an opportunity again. Ethan Hawke will never have another chance to win an Oscar. Probably not for Wagner Moura either. But, Ethan Hawke has been in the industry for a long time. He's now a family business with his daughter. I think I'm really starting to tell. I'm telling you, I'm feeling the Ethan Hawke momentum. I think there's a very strong chance Ethan Hawke is going to win. And you should start to wrap your mind around that so you're not too sad when he does. Let's see how the Golden Globes and the Critics' Choice and the SAG go. That's going to be really important. You're going to start to see the winners fall into place. And I hope Timmy C's not mean about it. I would advise him to drop the bit. All right. So any questions or comments about this story? And then we'll go to the Q&A. Timmy won the SAG, which is when he gave that speech. That's right. You can win when you're a young actor. It's possible. Adrian Brody, of course, for the pianist. You can. I'm not saying it's impossible, but and also nobody, again, remember when Don Draper said that's what the money is for? I think Timmy sees a little too money right now. I'd be like, nobody wants to give you an Oscar when you got all that already. They're like, you're good, buddy. You got a Kardashian on your arm. You look at you're dressed to the nines. You're good. And so they're not going to feel that he needs it. I mean, the industry is like that, I'm sorry to say. Look how sad Leo had to get before he got an Oscar. He was like, I don't know how much more of this I can take. And they were like, okay. And then he fought a bear. All right. Oliver says he said having, I don't know what you're talking about there. Oliver, I don't even know what that comment is. Okay, let's see here. Derek says, my straight bro friends seem to like him even more since this stuff. He used to have a very female LGBT fan base for movies like Call Me By Your Name. Well, that's interesting. You always want to add to your fandom. You don't want to lose any fans. So I would tell him to be careful about that. Steven says, it's funny just this week. Well, Marco says he's the male Emma Stone beloved by Hollywood. I don't think that's true. Emma Stone is beloved by Hollywood. Beloved. But I don't see that with Timmy C. I don't see Timmy hanging out with a lot of people in Hollywood. I mean, if he was, they'd tell him not to date a Kardashian. Let's see here. Steven says, it's funny, just this week, Kristen Stewart went viral for talking about men are aggrandized for retaining self. I saw that quote. It took too long for her to get to her point, so I pieced out of there. But I thought she did a nice job. Hey, Phil. Thank you. I'm glad you like my outfit. Charlie also thinks he's alienating his core fan base. Oh, that's not good. Although Owe says he's straight and he's not too happy about this either. The people who like it would never, maybe they'll go see Marty Supreme. Who knows? Olive said, hello, Olive. Welcome. And that's right, Kyle. He's totally acting like Marty. If you watch, Marty's worse than this, which is hilarious, actually. Raphael says, why is Fran Drescher campaigning for him so hard right now? Well, that's because she's in the movie. Team player and all that. Oliver says that's a comment. I don't know I didn't see that comment. I'd be shocked if he actually made that comment. So I can't comment on it. I haven't seen it. Let's see here. That comment, no matter who made it, is so bad. I don't even want to comment on someone commenting on it. All right. Dancing Dog 60 says it took a long time for Dustin Hoffman and Al Pacino to win. That's right. Takes a long time usually. That's right, Raphael. She plays his mother and she does a nice job. It's an extremely small role, but she does a nice job. Maybe he and Kylie are very happy together. I don't know their relationship. I don't know them. I do think sometimes she looks more like, she's taking care of him than dating him. Although they are actually the same age. I don't think it really, image is very important in Hollywood, and, they're putting forward like a lot of riz. If they were they could, if they don't win, maybe Mama Kardashian will start thinking about it, or Mama Jenner. Kris Jenner. And she'll be like, well, now we got to win Timmy an Oscar. And she'll work a little harder at it. That's right, Dane. He might be over-rizzing. As I said in the poster frame, potentially too much riz. Marco says he almost recently broke character. Well, I hope it is a bit. He should acknowledge that it's a bit and stop doing it. Because it's not going over well. All right, now we're just saying stuff about them. Let's go on to the Q&A. All righty. Okay, let's do 10-minute Q&A. Let me set my timer. There we go, baby. All right. Jesus, what are my top 3 Johnny Depp movies? Oh, I don't know. I guess Pirates of the Caribbean, obviously the first one. I guess you have to do the straight. What's that one where he played Hunter, right? Whatever. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. It's been a while since he's been working. Oh yeah, Danny, I'll be doing end of the year videos for sure and top 10s like that. I think it's still a scooch too early to do them, but I'll be doing them for sure. Raphael says, is it true that the CEO of Netflix is trying to win back the theaters after the Ellison move? I think he's changed his tune a little bit, but nobody can deny the things that he said. I think people don't really trust him. X-Men Superfan says, do you think Marilyn Monroe is the most iconic film actress of all time? I think she's one of them, and I think she's definitely the definitive bombshell, obviously. No, Jean Harlow created the bombshell. You know, there's always a pattern, and you could always look back at things, and I think, you know, you got to look back, Jean Harlow was an earlier version of Marilyn Monroe, for sure, you know? So those are all the similar things. Let's see here. Senior Lullaby. I did not see Five Nights at Freddy's 2. CC Black, you're going to get the Doomsday trailer eventually, but I would tell you to be patient, and I would tell you the best thing you could do would be to buy a ticket to Avatar 3 if you really want to see that trailer. I have not watched Heated Rivalry, although I'm glad you guys are enjoying it so much. That's awesome. Nacho, Sydney Sweeney would like to be the new Marilyn Monroe, but she is not. You can't want it too badly. You know, I think she wants it a little bit too badly. I don't know if I'm going to have time to see Housemaid, Chico. I got a lot of other stuff that I think is a better thing to do. Obuku says, what do you mean don't drink your own Kool-Aid? Well, that's a very famous saying, in fact. And what it means is don't buy into your own hype. You know, always kind of like, you know, keep it in check. And realize that, you know, things can go up and down. So that's a really important saying. Frank, I don't know when they're going to do a new trailer for House of the Dragon, but I can't do too much of it because HBO claims those things. So maybe I'll do a trailer. I mean, I'm not sure when. I mean, first, right now, they're going to focus on the Night of Seven Kingdoms, and I'm going to be covering that. Oh, wait, you just watched the ending of The Diplomat recently? I don't know. I think The Diplomat isn't really a show to cover, but I certainly do enjoy it, and I try to promote it as much as possible. That's right, GP. Like Lady Gaga, Timmy C is a hardcore drama kid. You know, anyone who's ever met a drama student would recognize this behavior. Anthony, I'm so excited for The Boys Season 5. I wish they had dropped their trailer at a better time for coverage, but I will certainly be covering that show for sure. Oh, good morning, the foreign fool in Australia. Good day on the other side of the globe where you're just getting up. I love it. And that's right, as Dane O'Leary is saying, the Jonestown Massacre also, of course, that comes from that. And that was, they did a parody of that in the studio with Martin Scorsese wanting to make that movie. Danny, for tonight for dinner, I might be having turkey burgers. That's what I'm hearing. I'm going out. I might be doing. That's what the discussion has been. I'm not going to review the SpongeBob movie floppy disk channel. I'm sorry to hear that. Although I must say, I went to see Zootopia with my family because it's the holidays. Never seen my dad laugh so hard as he did at the SpongeBob trailer. I think because it has like Three Stooges type humor. He was laughing real hard. I was like, maybe I should take him to see SpongeBob. He really loved it. I'm not ruining Welcome to Derry episode 8. You gotta just tune in. Don't be late. I don't want any of it spoiled for you. Nightcrawler's Fuzzy Blue Tail says, Grace, do you think if Moana 3 has Lin-Manuel come back? I think even without him, I think Lin-Manuel Miranda's a little over. I think, yeah, it would do great. Jonah, what SP movie are you talking about? For Supergirl? We just talked about that at the top of the thing. Kyle says, what are Miley's awards chances this year? You mean for best song? I think she might get nominated, but there ain't no way she's going to win. It's between Wicked, Sinners, and K-pop. I mean, it's who knows? I mean, that's really competitive as it is. Britt, I'm not going to get the Grinch meal because I don't like pickles. So I don't want the pickles. I mean, the socks are kind of cool. Caleb says, hey, Grace, Billie Eilish just released a trailer for her 3D concert directed by James freaking Cameron. I didn't see the trailer, but that's awesome. Good for her. Yeah, I don't like pickles. I don't like pickles at all. Whenever they're like, you want a pickle? I'm like, no, thanks. And then, although that sounds inappropriate. Oh, Chico, you got the Grinch socks? That's awesome. Let's see. Kareem says, what's a film you and your parents took opposite opinions for? Batman v Superman. I'll never forget it. I got them into the premiere. I went to the premiere. We were not sitting together. I ran up to them afterwards and I was like, wow, right? And the look on their face before I even said anything, I was like, wow, they did not like that movie. They're not, my parents love movies, but they're not really into the comic book genre. Dancing Dog 60 says, Grace, is it hard for actors to make the jump? I think it's hard for actors to go still from TV to film. I think it's easier to go from film to TV because then, especially with streaming, it seems like a really big deal. But I think it's still hard. Like, look at Jeremy Allen White. He's having a little bit of, Jeremy Strong was a little hard for him, but I think he's making the transition. By the way, I got to tell you, I'm under embargo. I'll talk to you about it next week. Okay. How much time do I have left? Oh, 3 minutes. Tillman, I did see that Christopher Nolan hosted the Sinners for Your Consideration party. I thought that was wonderful of him. Christopher Nolan, I'm loving his charitable era where he goes and helps everybody. He's going to run the Directors Guild. He's helping out all these other filmmakers. I mean, I love it. I love seeing him pay it forward. And also, like, as undiverse as his... I think it's particularly nice to see him supporting Ryan Coogler because Christopher Nolan's not very diverse in any regard with his storytelling. Senior Lullaby. I didn't get to react to the Bride trailer, but I thought it looked really good too. That's right, Kay Walton. To be fair, there seems to be a lot of diversity in the Odyssey, but I don't know if he did. I don't know. It's hard. I don't know if. Let's see. But it is very diverse. I think you could do diversity with the Greek gods, but I don't know how it works. I mean, let's just see. It's so diverse, and yet there isn't a single Greek person in the movie, so it's crazy. That's right, as Adam Sphere just said. David Wayne says, Grace, I just want to thank you for your content. It's my pleasure. I'm so glad you enjoy it. That means so much to me. Good night, Sean. Oh, hey, Sean. I'm sorry we had a little bit of a disagreement about, you were like, don't kill the hype for the Doomsday trailer. I'm not killing the hype. I just don't want you guys to be disappointed if it doesn't drop exactly when people misled you to believe that it would drop. Because I've seen it happen. I've seen people turn on a dime on this stuff and they get disappointed. I'm very excited about the Odyssey. I think that I'm very excited to see the trailer at some point. Oh, you guys are so nice. Atmosphere, my Avatar review will go up on Tuesday when the embargo lifts at 9 a.m., which is also when the Fallout embargo lifts. So Fallout will actually have, that review will have to go up later in the day. Reese, I did see the teaser trailer for the new Robert Pattinson and Zendaya movie, the drama, and it did seem like it was a sequel or a spin-off from The Materialists, including the same actress who was in both movies. Kyle says, why is the Academy posting clips of Yelena from Thunderbolts? Because they want you to pay attention to their account, and they know that you care about that. Marco, I think there's a strong chance that Lanterns is a good show. I mean, they have Damon Lindelof. They have a guy who runs Ozark. I mean, I think the chances are extremely strong. Britt says, for the Grinch meal, the pickle salt comes separate. But then do I want, maybe I'll get it. I'm in New York, they sell out of stuff really fast. Oh, there we go. All right, Sahib says, for a generous tip. Ah, thank you. So you can get a mini review. I don't know if I'm going to watch Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't have time for that. I'm sorry. I feel so bad. I hope you were enjoying these other discussions. All right, you guys are fantastic. I love talking to you. Okay, see you tomorrow for Supergirl. Remember, noon, and I'll be doing a trailer reaction and a breakdown. All right, see you. I have a new shirt that I'm going to wear. I'm very excited. All right, everybody, bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye. Bye-bye.